This is an older one. Yep, I stayed up binge watching. I finished the first season, Breaking Bad. At first, I seen it a long time ago, and I couldn't get into it. Um, there was probably another TV show on at the time, or I was working or something. 2008, about when the housing crash happened. But yeah, Breaking Bad is pretty good. It's about a spoiler alert, if you hadn't seen it. But one thing I say, the movie, um, when I'm looking at a website, come on in 2017, and I watched the first season. It had like 7 episodes, and I started watching the movie for about 23 minutes, and it went into the second season, where it had Better Call Saul, which I think is about the eighth episode of the second season. So the movie cuts. They didn't reshoot a movie for the Breaking Bad. All they did was use the TV series and cut it, and it's not even in chronological order. Some parts of it, it's kind of weird. Like it showed the guy, um, the first season. They showed the teacher getting chemo, and then it showed him waiting at the bridge, and then police come by and he thought they were gonna get him, and then it showed the guys robbing the warehouse when they started, couldn't get the Sudafed, cooked the meth. But this show's turning out to be pretty good. He's got cancer. He don't tell his family, and he keeps secrets because he don't want to hurt their feelings, and he wants to make some money. So he's suffering and coughing a lot. He wasn't sure what it is, but he finds out he's got cancer. And then he has a son that has cerebral palsy, so he has to use crutches to walk. But he's pretty smart, but he's a straight shooter. He won't, if his dad's doing something he don't like, he just calls him out on it. And the mom, she's real patient, but if they have a conversation or argue, she has to have a pillow while they talk when they have a group discussion. They had kind of an intervention wanting him to get chemo, and his son, said, "Hey, all I've been through with his cerebral palsy, and you're scared to get chemo?" So it kind of opened his eyes, and he said, "Well, y'all wouldn't know who I am. I'd be too sick to move." But he sees a thing on TV, and his brother-in-law is a DEA agent, and they have all this money, and they busted like a meth lab. So he's like, "Well, how much money is that?" He said, "Oh, about 700,000." And he's like, "Wow," because money's really tight. He was working. The teacher was working two jobs. He worked as a teacher, teaching chemistry, putting up, kind of people that didn't really want to be there anyway. And then he worked at a car wash, and he's running a cash register. But then he had to go out there and also do some physical work, cleaning cars. So he sees this, opportunity when he goes on a ride along with his brother-in-law, and they bust like a meth lab, and they arrest the guy. And the other guy was at the neighbors, and he sees him getting away because he's still in the car while they go in. The teacher, and he's one of his students, so he looks him up and goes to his house. He said, "Hey, we you ain't got to cook no more." And he don't know what he's doing, but he knows his chemistry really good. So he talks the guy into cooking, and he's like, "You crazy man? Why you want to cook this stuff? And you want us to make money?" So the first up the chain, the next guy, he starts cooking, and they're like, "What are you doing? Why y'all cooking this?" And they had to deal with him. They come out there to rob him, and he accidentally kills one of them, and then he has to take the other one out all the time while I tried to be a teacher and figuring out what to do. And then they had some of it left over, and he gave it to friends, and they got rid of it. And they said, "Oh man, this is good stuff," and they made some money. So he's like, "Okay, let's go for it." So they start cooking meth, and the trail kind of gets closer on them because they left some evidence, and they're cooking meth, and all kind of stuff's happening. And Breaking Bad, the guy was lived a normal life. His wife kind of was in control, and he was just kind of mellow guy and really academic, but not violent at all. Just kind of easygoing. And now that he has the cancer, you don't know how long he's gonna live. Now he's like, well, it don't matter anymore. He don't put up with anything. There's a scene where this guy said Ken wins, and he's like, I guess, a stockbroker or a lawyer, and he's real obnoxious. And the teacher was waiting to get a line in the parking lot or get a parking space. So he lets the guy out, and then Ken Wins drives in it. So he has to go over, park somewhere else. He goes in the bank, and the guy's really obnoxious, and he's just looking at him like. And then he goes and sees the guy later, and the guy almost hit an old lady while he's going to get gas, and he just so happens to pull in this parking lot where the same guy pulls in because he was coughing from the cancer. So he sees the guy get out, and it's like a full service gas station. While the guy goes in, he takes one of the squeegees from the gas station, puts it over the guy's battery, closes the hood down, and the car blows up. And the guy's like, "What? How did that happen?" And he just kind of like laughs. So they start cooking meth for this big fish, and he's a psycho. He beats like a guy to death in front of him, and then him and his ex-student, they're in business, and they're making like 35, 70 grand every 2 weeks. But since the guy seen him murder somebody, he's going to have to take him out, move to Mexico because the DEA is after him. And he said, man, the teacher said, I got a wife and all, and he said, well, get a new one. So he's got him at his dad's house somewhere out in the middle of the desert, and he's crazy. He's doing meth, and they were trying to poison him, and the dad can't do anything except ring a bell. And so he gets suspicious, and then they overtake the guy, and then the ex-student had a LoJack in his car. So then the brother-in-law comes out there and has a gunfight and shoots the guy, and they run out in the woods. That's probably the second episode of season 2. But it's a good series. I'd recommend watching this, and they introduce, Better Call Saul. So I guess that's where he got his show from. I never watched it. I always had something else to watch, but I'll probably watch it after I finish Breaking Bad. I wouldn't recommend watching the movie because it's just pretty much the series, and the series tells everything. It shows kind of where he had the cancer and when he got sick, and has a lot of details in the TV show that the movie just kind of skips over, and you have no idea what's going on. You see it, but you're like, it might be for somebody that's watched the series as a recap, but it'd be a lot of hard stuff to figure out because it's so short and it's not in the order of the TV show. So I recommend watching the TV show. I think it's about 5 seasons, maybe. I think maybe 4 or 5 seasons. Can't remember, but it's worth a watch. And the guy's he ain't really mean yet so far. So he still has. The guys are just in shock being around that psycho person. So I'm interested to see how it goes. He figured out how much money he needs to leave his family because he's not sure if he's still gonna make it or not with this cancer. So he wants to leave his family. Like he said, I need almost $800,000. And that'd last him long enough. Probably should get Social Security and raise his son, and he'll leave his family a nest egg. So that's what he's doing it for, because they're not spending any money or anything, and he's hiding money like in the vents, and it's a pretty good TV show. I just wanted to tell you about that. I really enjoy Breaking Bad. It it's got a 9.5 rating on on the website I looked at. So that's pretty impressive. You know, usually a show will be 7. Sometime it'll be a kind of fluke, but this was pretty good. What made me want to watch it? The Walking Dead had the same character, like General or Sergeant Pope, with the same bald head and a mustache, and that's him, you know, but older. And he played a character in The Walking Dead, and they just wrote this. It wasn't even in the comic books, you know, and I think they call them the Reapers. So it's cool that he played a character, and they said, well, a guy told me at work, he said, you know, Breaking Bad merged with Walking Dead. I said, what? No, it didn't. And so now I'm watching Breaking Bad, but I don't. Just the guy played a role on The Walking Dead, but it didn't have any virus come in there, you know. But anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe, share, tell anybody else that wants a movie breakdown of an old show. And you never know what I'm gonna post. But it's kind of fun just sharing the movie reviews. Take it easy. Catch you next time.